Hello and welcome to the next lecture. And today we're going to speak about Kubernetes and how to deploy Quarkus with the ease of the enter button to the Kubernetes cluster. So be sure that you have a Docker up and running, and we would like to have Kubernetes started. So you need to call the minikube start. This will bootstrap the minikube itself. Be sure that you also use it. In this video we're gonna use a minikube. In the next chapter we're gonna use in the next video the Google Cloud Engine, Google Kubernetes Engine, and I think I have here. You can also switch from here. There should be in the Docker window above. You should have a context. So be sure. So it's a minikube, and once it's ready, you're gonna need to execute one single command, which is eval minikube docker. So currently Docker, you can see the Docker PS wrote into my normal Docker, and you won't be able to see any images which should be visible. So now if I call the Docker PS, you'll see all the Kubernetes images because it's like different context. Yeah, so yeah, now we're ready. So in this window, we're gonna be sure that you use this eval minikube docker env in any terminal where you building a Docker images. That's really important. So yeah, so let's start our app. Let's create our app. Nothing special. We have two extensions, Kubernetes Docker. The only difference is that we have a Quarkus Kubernetes instead of Kubernetes, because if you use a Kubernetes, this will screw up a lot of stuff in your app. So let's create a project and open it in IntelliJ IDEA. All right, so project is opened, and let's execute one command called let's go to this Quarkus cd Quarkus Kubernetes. So go into the folder, and let's call maven Quarkus clean package. So we'll build the we'll package the jar application, and together with it we're gonna deploy the create and together with it we're gonna create the YAML file for the Kubernetes. So be sure that yeah, so now we can go to the target folder, which was generated here, and go to the Kubernetes, and there will be two similar files, so they are absolutely the same, just the formatting is different. In the case of JSON, it's a JSON file, and then we're gonna look at the YAML. So from the start, you can see that there is a lot of different YAML sections. So the first one is the deployment. So deployment is more like the setup for well, it's deployment. So you have like a specification how to deploy your app, and specifically what you have a spec as a specification. You can have here replicas. There is a selector which specifies which how to match the deployment. Then you have a template where you have a container as well. So this is exactly the let's say it's almost the Docker part. So you have a container, and here you can specify an image, Dmytro Quarkus Kubernetes 1.0, and then all the other stuff, for example, image policy, which we'll need to replace for a minikube, then the name Quarkus Kubernetes, that's the name, of course, and then you specify ports which will be open from inside of the deployment itself, from the pod. This is different from the exposing the port, so this won't expose the 8080, be aware that. So let's shift to the service. So the service is already something more workable. So this will select the, you can see here a selector, this will select the deployment and probably expose or do something with it. In our case, it's will expose the 8080 port, in our case by the cluster, so you'll be able to use a cluster IP to expose. We're gonna change it to load balancer as well. And yes, the last thing is a service account. I think it's used for the identity management. We won't touch this in this lecture. So let's with this let's do some more stuff with the resources. I'm gonna give you a list of the available keys and values that you can use. I have here some presets that we're gonna need in this app. So first one, of course, is the image pool policy if not present. We don't want to have the so we don't want to pull on each deployment. We don't want to pull the image from the registry, because firstly we don't have a registry right now, and secondly, yeah, if you don't have this image in the registry, it will fail. So even though you have an image, so we put this name if not present. In this case, you don't need to have it in a production, let's say. So it won't pull the image if it's already in Docker registry. That's why we'll need to deploy to create our container from this terminal. And yeah, so the service type we're going to change to load balancer, because it's more, you know, production oriented. And yeah, you can use both, but I'm more into the load balancer. And that's it. You don't need to do anything more. You just call the one more time, let's call the maven clean package to see if it's correct or not. And if it's not, then we're gonna fix it a little bit, but I don't think we'll need to. So yeah, so this will take a little bit of time. Okay, so it's redeployed. We can go to the Kubernetes YAML, and you will see firstly that we have a load balancer as a type. And in deployment, I don't remember. Yeah, so we changed the image pool policy to if not present. That's exactly what we need. So everything else goes as a magic. You just go to the terminal and call this maven clean package with one additional parameter called -d Quarkus Kubernetes deploy equals true. That's it. You don't need to do anything else. If you have a kubectl started, and you can of course call the kubectl to see if it's running. But yeah, so this will build the image, this will build a Docker container, this will generate the Kubernetes JSON or YAML, and this will deploy the image itself to the deployment. So you will see that deploying onto Kubernetes in namespace default, applied, service account, Kubernetes, Quarkus Kubernetes, then service, and then deployment itself. So that means that everything is fine, and we can call kubectl get pods, for example, and you should see that we have Quarkus Kubernetes running, 0 restarts. I have here some old stuff here, but yeah. And we also can call this services. And you should see, in our case, that we have a Quarkus Kubernetes pending. So we have theoretically external IP. It should work, and it will work in, for example, Google Cloud Platform. But because of the Minikube, you won't have this luxury to have an external IP. That's okay. It's fixable. You will see how. So yeah. So that means this line means that everything is fine. And so this 31340 is a pod, is a deployment port exposed, and we routed to 8080 on the external IP, which is missing in our case, but it's okay. And yeah, so that's there. And you can also call the get all to see what's going on in general. You will see what's there and what's not. In our case, you will see that Quarkus Kubernetes working as expected, so you see everything as ready. And yeah, so what we can do right now is call Minikube service and then call the Quarkus Kubernetes, and you will get the yeah, it will actually open the URL, but moreover, of course, you'll have the information about the how to connect to it. You can call, if you don't want to automatically open the browser, you can call the URL like this, and you'll get the URL itself, which is also cool. So you can see that we have here weather, and everything is fine. So everything was deployed perfectly, and moreover, it was deployed with one line. We just called one line, right? You saw it. So maven clean package -d Quarkus Kubernetes deploy. That's it. So this is perfect because once you once you clone the project, you can call only this line and it's ready. And moreover, in the next video, you'll see that calling this line on the Google Cloud Engine will do the same stuff. You don't need to do anything more. So this is super convenient, and you don't need to manage anything more there. Yeah, in the next video, we're gonna see how to deploy it in the Google Cloud Engine. Yeah, see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.